Welcome back to TheChowTimePod. It's your host, Red. I got a video today from Mr. Obvious. Please like, comment, subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. Let's get that chow. It's chow time. Video suggested by you guys.
It seems like these days, everyone has heard of incels.
Yep.
What is an incel?
Stands for involuntary celibate.
An entire generation of young, lonely, and often frustrated young men. With the media going so far as to label incels as the #1 threat in America.
The United States Secret Service is warning everyone about a rise in incel threats right here in the United States.
But despite all this, very little attention has been given to the topic of femcels, female incels, women who, much like their counterparts, can't seem to find a man or a relationship.
I've recently come to the realization that Chad doesn't want me, and this absolutely breaks my heart and soul. I am devastated.
The assumption that women are naturally better caregivers is part of patriarchy.
So I think I might be a femcel.
My name is Mr. Obvious, and this is the story of how I infiltrated the deep, dark, and disturbing world of the Femcel movement. It all started on a cool November evening. I was standing by the local woods, smoking paper. Wait a minute.
Dumb.
I don't smoke. I had been assigned by the 69th precinct to discover the truth about femcels. What were they? Were they a threat?
Oh, wow. He was actually assigned by a police precinct? Nice, brother. Nice.
What did their sweat taste like? I had to know the truth. But not everyone at the precinct thought femcels were a threat. Hey yo, Captain Obvious, I don't think those femcels are a threat. You feel me? I knew if I wanted answers, I would have to get to the bottom of this. As I returned to the precinct, I sat on my desk and logged into my computer, and that's where the trouble began. I couldn't remember the password to my computer. Now we need to talk about the definition of the word incel, and where the word actually comes from, especially as we dive into the deep, dark, and disturbing world of femcels.
It's time to stop!
If you believe the media narrative, incel simply means man who hates woman. But this isn't true at all. The word incel is short for involuntary celibate. A celibate is someone who takes a vow of celibacy. Essentially, a celibate chooses not to have relationships or intimacy by choice.
I have relationships with women and sex with men.
On the other hand, involuntary celibates want relationships but can't seem to find one, and are therefore maidenless.
You are fated, it seems, to die in obscurity, maidenless.
Now, if you Google the term incel, they don't give you a real definition. Instead, they seem more interested in pushing a narrative that incels are some sort of hate group and conspiracy that's against women. But
this is exactly what we see every single day in my channel, is exactly the narrative that they push on men and incels.
the definition gets it wrong. It also pushes the idea that only men can be incels, which isn't true. It's a gender-neutral term. In fact, the term incel was actually invented by a woman.
No shit. Figured that.
But this, my friends, is where the rabbit hole gets deeper. A woman named Alana started a website called Alana's Involuntary Celibacy Project in the 1990s. The website focused on how its followers felt shyness and social awkwardness and had difficulties in relationships. You see, the term incel was basically unheard of, not even 8 years ago. Incels were a small, niche community on the R9K board on 4chan. Eventually, they migrated over to Reddit and created the infamous r/incel subreddit. This didn't last long, however, as Reddit quickly nuked the subreddit from the platform. The official reason given was that the subreddit had violated the site's content policies.
You are accused of treason and anti-Soviet behavior. The court finds you guilty and sentence you to be shot.
Specifically citing a content policy against violence. To this day, there are many people who believe that the banning was political. Reddit has been known to be very woke and even downright hostile towards men, especially men expressing their feelings, their anger, their disappointment, and
every platform is like that. It's not just Reddit. Look at YouTube. How many of your guys' comments have been deleted or removed because YouTube deems it not worthy? Trust me, guys, it isn't me.
their suffering. Basically, they were shut down for criticizing women.
All women are queen. If she breathes, she's a god!
And then everything changed when the mainstream media attacked. In 2018, on the same day, every major news outlet and mainstream media company released story after story about incels and the incel threat. Suddenly, overnight, it blew up into a national phenomenon.
Well, there is a growing threat to women from men who are often frustrated sexually.
Fox 13's Ernie Freeman reports on a dangerous group of men called incels.
Excuse me, but I've got something to tell you first. Thank you for ruining my life!
Ashley!
What did you do?
Everybody's always blaming me for everything.
All of a sudden, everyone was talking about incels. In August of 2018, the media did a massive campaign, blowing up incels into the public consciousness. But nowadays, incel is just a term used to insult men. It's become an anti-male insult. Perhaps because of this, people have completely ignored the disturbing truth. Reddit may have banned r/incel, but they never banned the Femcels. And this is where the story gets dark. By this point, the investigation...
Shout out to you, Mr. Obvious. I'm very much enjoying your what is it? It's like a documentary type video, and love the subject.
Investigation had been underway. But could it really be that simple? Could it really be that femcels were simply incels who were female? I had never seen a woman before.
Shit! Mr. Obvious, you just fucking implanted a seed in my mind right now that I might... Oh my god, has this been a psyop this whole time? That is truly women that were doing all these horrible speeches and horrible things about other women, but blaming men this whole time? Oh my jeez!
Though I had heard about them from Frankie, apparently they liked flowers and serial killers. They liked the flowers like they liked the serial killers, covered in red. You see that? That's gamer girl juice. Now, I'm not talking about your everyday average gal, like Belle Delphine. I'm talking about gamer girls. Needless to say, this stuff is highly toxic. Never
stop touching it, bro. This guy.
Had to be sure. If I was gonna uncover the truth about femcels, I was going to have to go undercover. I gave it my best shot. Unfortunately, things weren't going so well on X. To hell with it. I was gonna have to risk it all. Oh, well, that was easy.
Yeah,
but
that
only
was
because
easy.
I'm a good detective. Well, it just so happens that Reddit just had a major outage while I was beginning to work on this part of the video. That was me. I did it. I murdered Reddit, and I'm not sorry. I would do it again.
Any lowlife, any maggot piece of shit that I put down, I did it because I liked it. Hell, I loved it. I'm saying, I'm just itching. I'm itching to do it again. And you...
The Reddit menace is too much. I had to put it under arrest. Reddit said something about not being able to breathe, and I just didn't listen. But for you, it's been seconds. For me, been hours.
It's been 3,000 years.
That being said, let's continue with the video. R/2X chromosomes. If I had to define what is the Femcel movement, I would probably link you a page to this subreddit. This is the most vile, toxic, and anti-male Femcel community that I've ever seen. It's got over 14 million members on Reddit, one of the largest Reddits on the entire website. So
what? This is the largest Reddit on the Go on.
Right off the bat, you can see here that the top post is a 4B post. For those that don't know, the 4B movement is a radical feminist movement that emerged from South Korea. It's an openly anti-male movement. It's also been described as a pretty phobic group to all sorts of people.
Are we the baddies?
That being said, the 4 core tenets of the 4B movement are no sex with men, no giving birth to men's children, no dating men, and no marriage with men. These are known as the 4 no's. 4B in a nutshell. Now, the main reason I bring this up is to highlight the massive hypocrisy in which the media and society treat men going their own.
Right? Right. This is shout outs to the gentleman that sent me this video. Why can't we just go on our own way too? Right? But why are we the evil and ones that are going to cause trouble when women are doing the exact same thing?
Their own way, for example, men deciding not to date women anymore, not to get married, and to simply focus on self-improvement and their own lives, and women who decide to join the 4B movement, for example. Even though at face value, they're basically the same thing.
In society now,
I think it's actually much worse, because if they were in a relationship already, they would end those relationships because of this particular movement. For MGTOW, I don't think men that are in good relationships are leaving their relationships just to join MGTOW because it's the thing to do.
There's been a lot of movies and culture and cultural influences that say that you don't. Murphy Brown, Jennifer Aniston. I mean, we could go back the last decade. There's a big push. Women don't need a man. That's been the message. And so guess what? Eventually, men start to believe it. And they say, well, you know what? I don't really need you either.
When men go their own way, they're called toxic, they're called, they don't like women, they're trying to hurt women, which never really made sense to me because the whole point is that, like, you just leave women alone and do your own thing, literally in the name.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
But the media will say that this is bad, men are bad, and these groups are dangerous, somehow. But when women do it, when women have their own movement to go their own way and do their own thing, it's called empowering, wonderful, and yeah, get back at those toxic men. It's massively hypocritical, and it's not even a fair comparison, because they're really not the same at all. You look at the 4B movement, for example, whose entire premise is a world without men.
Yep.
And somehow this is called brave and inspiring and stick it to the patriarchy.
Women.
Now, believe it or not, I'm not really a fan of either of these movements. Giving up on marriage and dating and family, I think is absolutely insane. Because let's say that the 4B movement succeeds. What happens? Well, if men stop dating women and women stop dating men, nobody gets married, nobody has children, the population
I 100% agree with you on this particular thing. Yeah.
collapses, the system collapses because it's based upon endless growth, and then all of society crumbles, everyone gets old, and humanity goes extinct. Because, surprise, surprise, you need to have kids to have a society in a country. So
I see that I want to push back on you a little bit, Mr. Obvious. I think MGTOW isn't just avoiding women. It's avoiding women for a particular reason, right? It's marriage laws and just how dating is in general. If that was to be fixed and marriage laws were to be less detrimental to men, I think much, much more men are willing to date more and get married. It's the laws that are kind of going against men. I think that's what's pushing majority of men away. It could be the whole them not wanting to just date at all or just want to be single and not want to deal with women at all. I'm sure there is that, but I think most men want to deal with women. They just don't want to deal with horrible women. They're going to take half their shit.
I do not agree with these movements, but let's move on. So I want to go over to one of these posts. Taking a look here that's more recent, it says, "Help. I don't want to hate men, but I find myself starting to. and this is from 6 months ago. Taking a look at the post here by a user named Neem Shalta. Here it says, "Hi all. 27 years old female. I have had a difficult and tumultuous relationship with men throughout all my life. I just feel like throughout all my life, men have disappointed me, let me down, hurt me, and abused me over and over again. Even the good ones."
This is the whole how much expectations they put on men, right? It's that whole dreaming of that special white knight that's gonna come in, do all the things. That's what they're expecting, but men are not like that, so it's fucking up their expectations.
I've noticed they've all had some glaring issue that I thought was unacceptable, contemptible, selfish, uncompassionate, unempathetic, weak.
This is the lie that gets told to men too, right? They want someone who's going to be a human and show all that weakness. And then guys do that. And the woman's like, maybe we should see other people. Why?
Women don't even like harmless men. They hate them. They like to claw them apart. You know, what women want are dangerous men who are civilized.
And this advice that they're getting from the feminist movement, from the women's magazines, from the network TV, whatever it may be, it's not good.
Where are you? You're so weak.
I've watched him fall short and act in immature, childish ways over and over and over again.
We're just childish at times. We're men.
Okay, so I just want to break that down. This person is saying that they basically hate men. It's really not that complicated. Now I just want to point out the blatant narcissism and moral superiority basically bleeding out of this post. This person is basically going on to say that, oh, men are always disappointing me and letting me down over and over.
Sometimes it's not them that's the problem. It's us.
That's called living life. There's plenty of women in my life who have let me down, hurt me, and abused me, and bad things have happened.
True.
But do I blame all women for the actions of one? Or even a few? Or even a lot? Not really. Every person on this planet has flaws, men and women included. This person is talking as if they are perfect and they are the arbiters of good and bad and maturity.
We're better than you, and we know it.
And I get the feeling that this person has some deep-seated narcissism and entitlement issues. So we're here with ChatGPT, and I'm gonna run her statement through it, and we'll see what we get. Please analyze the following statement for mental illness. Paste. Holy shit, ChatGPT really has a lot to say, and I gotta be honest, I agree with a lot of this.
Shit just went from 0 to 100 real fucking quick.
I want to talk about this. This is actually, there's a lot to break down here. So, going to Google, we're looking at some of the signs of narcissism, and I just want to read them here. Grandiose sense of self. Narcissists have an inflated sense of self-importance and are often inclined to brag about themselves. Now, while it may not be obvious at first, this person is basically claiming that men don't meet her high moral standards, therefore she is superior to those men. Grandiose sense of self, check. Lack of empathy. Narcissists have difficulty understanding and sharing the feelings of others. They may be insensitive to your needs and emotions. She says, even the good men have disappointed me and had glaring, unacceptable behaviors. Not one thought is spared for the men, their problems, or their issues, or how she may have let men down. Lack of empathy. Check. Sense of entitlement. This is a big one. Narcissists have an unreasonable expectation.
I'm not a big fan of trying to diagnose people. We're not professionals, but it's nice to go over these things and just kind of like, you know, put these in your mind yourself. Don't try to go around diagnosing women as narcissists, guys. You know, just use this information for your own self-preservation. When you meet women like this, you just stay the fuck away.
Of favorable treatment and automatic compliance with their wishes. I actually think that sense of entitlement is one of the main signs of narcissism.
You can't expect us to be wifey material for someone that doesn't deserve it.
Automatically wrong.
Okay, so you expect me to give my all and give my best to
I expect you to appreciate the men that built the world around you, The entitlement you guys have. In college today, the average man sitting in college with a woman knows that that woman wants a man making 6 figures. They can't even date because today young women don't want men who are making average money.
And you see it all over R/2 chromosomes. This issue is just a good example. She's basically claiming that she's entitled to a perfect man with 0 flaws, which has no issues, which meets her perfect, ideal man, aka what she deserves.
How much should your future husband make?
500,000. I agree.
300K.
At least 1 million.
What do you bring to the table?
I'm sexy.
Quote unquote, because I bet you she can't even cook or clean. And with 0 thought of what she should bring to the table, what she should bring to the relationship. I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't even know how to cook a basic meal. But what she's basically doing is demanding an absolute fantasy. In order to explain this in a way that men will understand, the male equivalent would be the perfect woman who basically lives for you and is selfless and would do anything for you. And everyone calls that woman best girl, but really, she's not best girl. She's just a fantasy. She's completely unrealistic, but she's like every weeb boy's fantasy to be completely and unconditionally loved by a cute girl who's willing to put their
And most of us know this is never gonna happen.
own happiness aside in order to support the man they love.
I do not wish to be horny anymore. I just want to be happy.
But let's get back to
That's when men get older.
Post and read a little bit more. This woman goes on to say, the issue for me started early, as I had an estranged relationship with my dad.
No shit.
And there it is.
Oh, I made myself sad.
We'll just do the first one. Are your biological parents married?
My parents are divorced. I haven't seen my dad since I was 13.
My parents are also divorced, and I haven't seen my dad in years. My parents are separated.
So I think we're starting to see what the problem is. I'm going to continue.
Fatherless
and
homes.
as an adult, fell into strings of toxic romantic relationships with men.
We get our subconscious definition of love from our childhood home. This means that if little girls had assholes for daddies, there is a likelihood that they will actually associate more love in an environment with an asshole than with a nice guy. What's more than that? We all have this unresolved trauma, and we keep experiencing or even recreating mirrors of that original experience so as to try to create resolve around it.
This is a person who has never had a healthy relationship with their father or with men. In fact, they're pretty much related. And so this woman chased a lot of bad men, had a lot of bad experiences, and now they blame all men. This is femcel behavior. If an incel comes out and says, oh, all women are bad, they all suck, they're all sleazy, they're all loose. If a man says something like that, people would say, oh yeah, you're being an incel. What's your problem? Who hurt you?
So one of my guy friends gave me permission to make a Hinge account for him because I was telling him how easy dating is with dating apps, and he was telling me that it's incredibly difficult. I've been a virtual boy for 3 days, and I've never felt this bad about myself. I feel like a freaking loser trying to get these girls to like me. See, Pete's about a 6. But I'm so desperate, I'm liking the 2s and the 3s, and even they won't like me back. Pete, which is a 6.
He's already dead.
So what level of delusion has entered women's head?
And this is the common pattern that you're going to see with a lot of these posts. It's a lot of women who have made bad choices, and a lot of it is their own fault. I especially love this part here where it says, why are our standards of men's behavior so low? It makes me so deeply upset. I have seen the women in my life over and over make up for a man's shortcomings, be way more resilient, hardworking, spiritual, compassionate, open, and a plethora of other things that are admirable. I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to build a real resentment and genuine disgust and dislike towards men. However, the other half of my brain knows that this is wrong and that I can't generalize a whole population of people. I find all this very, very funny, but I also like here where she says, the other half of my brain, oh, you mean the rational half? Knows this is wrong. And to be fair, she is asking, like, how do I change my silly behavior, right? That's one thing. But the deeper you go into this dark rabbit hole of r/2x chromosomes, r/female dating strategy, and other subreddits like it, the more you notice just how seeped in massive toxicity these places really are. I had been tracking the Femcels for what felt like weeks. I was not prepared
Found
for
the
the
charger.
darkness that I would encounter.
Alright, this is good.
Bro, you need an iPhone charger, not a regular USB micro charger.
This is the first sign I've seen of the Femcels in weeks. Looks like a USB cord. USB-C.
Bro, USB-C. Do you think all of the femcels have the newest iPhone already? No, they still got old iPhones. They're broke, dusty, musty, crusties.
Thanks to those commies in the EU. It's gonna be impossible to tell what this belongs to. Could be an iPhone. Your average Giga Stacy's using an iPhone, buying all the latest products. Couldn't be. The new iPhone doesn't have a USB port. This is definitely a femcel dropping. This is definitely a sign of femcels. They're probably using a Galaxy Note or something. Nerds.
It would appear that the Femcels were congregating in deadly echo chambers, forums and spaces online, where criticism and negativity against women of any sort was not allowed. But criticism, anger, and even hatred against men was not only allowed, but encouraged. I knew that I was getting close. The only question was, would I be there in time to save a life?
I saved a life. My own.
Now, one of my biggest takeaways from this investigation was that platforms like Reddit are a massive echo chamber.
Yeah.
Reddit itself is known for this. They are an extremely left-wing platform to an absurdly extreme degree. One of the top posts on Reddit, for example, was, "I voted for Kamala." This got 36,000 upvotes, like 23 Reddit golds, 4,000 comments, people saying, "Good job, you voted Kamala." And this was on r/pics. Meanwhile, somebody put "I voted" in r/pics and they voted for Donald Trump, and they were banned from the subreddit permanently. "Hello, you have been permanently banned from participating in r/pics because your post violates this community's rules." Which is absolutely absurd. This really shows you just how far the bias on Reddit really goes.
And this shows how far censorship is from the left side. The left really wants to censor anything that they dislike.
I think a good example of this is how after the election, there were several posts that got a lot of upvotes on Reddit where liberals and leftists were asking essentially, if you voted for Donald Trump, why did you do that? Trump supporters, why did you support Donald J. Trump for president?
Mr. Frog, why are you so evil? You have 1 second to respond.
Hello,
Time's up, plus you're wrong.
And the most amazing thing happened. Essentially speaking, Redditors were really confused because when they were asking for opinions from Trump supporters, there was no Trump supporters in the comments. Taking a look here, a Reddit user named FullCommission4643 says, "I keep coming to these subs, hoping to read the replies from actual Trump supporters, but I'm only finding anti-Trump people participating. I'd really like to hear it from MAGA mouths. Come on, Trump voters, say something." For those who don't fully understand the context, let me make it really simple. Redditors were shocked that when they were asking for the opinions of Trump supporters, not a single Trump supporter showed up. Why is that? Because Reddit banned them all.
Alright, let's see what this is about.
Essentially speaking, if you're a conservative, you are banned from Reddit. Hell, I know a lot of liberals. Like, I have liberal friends who were banned from Reddit for saying things like there are only 2 genders, or I think that women's bathrooms should be for women, or things like this. You know, like pretty average, everyday kind of opinions. These are things that 90% of people, if you were to go out in public and ask them, they would agree with. But Reddit is so biased and kind of so like radicalized towards one side that if you even dare question these things, you are banned 100%. So I think one of the best examples of...
See, I use Reddit. I hardly ever look at Reddit. I only look at it to look at memes. This is where I get all my cool memes from. Like, I post every day with you guys. I steal it from Reddit. Yeah, I'm a thief. But that's all I really use Reddit for. And then I use it for like my Porsche forum and like my Taycan forum. That's about it. I don't really use it to go read stories or anything like that. Again, just use it for funny memes.
bias on Reddit is r/news. r/news is the 14th largest subreddit on the website with 29 million members. Now, although it's supposed to represent news in general, effectively all of the news posted is left-wing and anti-Republican, anti-conservative, and anti-right, even anti-liberal.
You can't keep getting away with it!
In one of the most disgusting and biased moves I've ever seen on Reddit, r/news moderators recently removed every single reference to the story of Laken Riley. For those that don't know, Laken Riley was an American woman who was murdered by an illegal migrant while she was out jogging. This happened on February 2024. She managed to call 911 during the attack, and unfortunately led to her passing away. Recently, her killer was put behind bars and is going to be spending life in prison. r/news removed every single post about this story. On r/news, there are absolutely zero search results. If you look at the verdict, the post has been locked and the post was removed by moderators of r/news. And this, my friends, is what an echo chamber looks like. It is very sad when an innocent young woman loses her life, but Reddit is angry that this story is being talked about. On r/2x chromosomes, people were angry that people were talking about this story instead of blaming men and calling all men evil. On r/2x chromosomes, a user literally claimed that the reason that he did this crime wasn't because he was quote unquote undocumented, but because he was a man who simply wanted to hurt a woman. And in this country and many others, most of /all, men apparently want to hurt women every single day because women are not valued and because men want to hurt them all. This is that
doesn't even make sense. Like, wow. I'm like really taken back by some of these words that these women are using on these forums, that men are just out there to rape and kill women and that's all we ever think about on women? Really? No, we don't think about taking care of our daughters, taking care of our family members, my aunt, my mom. I don't ever fucking, love the women around me in any way, shape, or form. I just abuse the shit out of my mom. I abuse the shit out of my sister. Like, is this what's going on in their minds? Like that every man in freaking the world is just like, oh, I fucking can't wait to fuck over women.
Absolutely a psychotic statement, and I'm honestly shocked that anyone would post this.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
You would think that a statement like this would be massively ratioed or mocked or rightly condemned, but no, the post actually has 1,400 upvotes, and everyone in the replies is saying that she is completely correct and that the reason he did this is because he's an evil man and not because he was a criminal illegally in the country. The reason I call places like r/2x chromosomes deadly echo chambers is
damn, okay, like I know men can get quite men, but this is beyond what men are even comparable or like, not comparable, but like are even willing to even, I don't even know how to say this right. Men are nowhere close to this. How are women seeing this in their everyday lives, and how are they believing this so much? The propaganda tool that the government or whoever is using to put women against men, it is truly working. I've never understood that statement that was just prior to what we just saw right now, that all men are like that we just do it because we're men. Ouch.
Is because instead of talking about the real issue of open borders and people illegally entering the country, they instead want to make this a gender issue and blame men and call men bad and evil. This innocent woman, in my opinion, should never have lost her life. And if it wasn't for deadly echo chambers like r/2x chromosomes and Reddit, maybe she would still be alive. And this is a bitter pill that nobody wants to swallow, because it would mean accepting the fact that maybe it's not that men are evil, but that these people have stupid beliefs. And they vote for stupid policies that endanger everyone and endanger women themselves. I'll never understand why these people seem to care more about their politics than about the public safety and the lives of innocent young women.
True.
They care more about demonizing men than they do about protecting women. And I have to say, I disagree with this. At this point, I felt the investigation was reaching a logical conclusion.
I'm currently hiding. The Femcels. I can hear them out there. They're chattering, yelling, "Triarchy, triarchy." I think they're a bunch of hippie anarchists or something. I don't know what it means.
Platforms like Reddit, Facebook, and other social media apps had created a situation where all of the incels were banned, but none of the femcels were, and this created echo chambers, allowing people to radicalize themselves with negativity, only hearing one side of the argument. And when you only hear one side of the argument, you are far more likely to go down the deep, dark rabbit hole of darkness and hatred. The situation reminded me a lot of the Twitch adpocalypse.
Unless Twitch can come out and say, or he can come out and say, this is actually the reason why, and it's something that makes sense. Nah, bro, like whenever you have people like that one girl like upping the ante for like that bounty, and she's like, oh, it's a joke. Yeah, it's a joke, but what if one crazy person thinks it's not? You have another guy saying that people should Destiny. Like you have people, you know, that Frogan girl calling people crackers. Like, bitch, what the f you doing having them on the platform but Destiny's not? Like, I got no problem. You want to keep them here, bring him back too. That's fine. Hey, let's have everybody, let's have free speech. Let's have everybody on the platform, but don't go and play sides.
So I just want to use this part of the video to give you my overall thoughts. I think that platforms like Reddit are essentially massive echo chambers, and I think they do a lot of harm. This is a little known secret amongst people who use the internet, but 92 of the top 500 subreddits on Reddit, for example, are controlled by the same 4 people.
Wait, what? These Reddit moderators must feel like they're super powerful.
And as you'll notice, the original post was in fact deleted by moderators. This is a dirty little known secret of the internet. This is actually the same thing that has happened on platforms like Wikipedia and other sites.
Wikipedia's neutral point of view is dead. These are the words of Larry Sanger, the co-founder of Wikipedia. He lays out several fundamental problems with Wikipedia today, the most important being its left-wing bias. Due to embracing the doctrine of avoiding false balance, the Wikipedia administration declares itself as the final arbiter of which facts are correct and which are false.
This is like George Orwell's book, 1984.
Big brother.
Is that a lot of these mods come in and they believe that they should control the entire internet. These people tend to be deeply mentally unwell and unstable. Now, I don't really care if you're on the right wing or the left wing, but I think you can admit that it is a massive problem when almost all of the social media websites have a situation where the same radical moderators are essentially controlling the narrative and the discourse.
This is 100% true. I can agree with this.
Are you a Redditor and you're a Discord admin? Oh my god.
It's absolutely ridiculous that we live in a world where people think that they can control the truth simply by censoring everything that doesn't make them look good. And this is extremely dangerous, because either you should have equal enforcement. In other words, if Reddit is going to ban things like r/incels or the Donald, it should also ban subreddits like r/2x chromosomes, incel tears, and so. Because I guarantee you that if you go to any of these subreddits and you were to replace the term man with woman or male with female, you would immediately be banned and called a massive hateful bigot. This is simply the way it works.
This right here is the entrance to a Femcel den. They'll tempt you with free beer, rock CDs. They'll say it's just in the cave here. Don't believe them.
At this point, the investigation had reached its natural conclusion. It was obvious to me what was happening. Platforms like Reddit and culture and society were essentially pushing one narrative. The narrative that men are bad. and that they are the source of all of women's problems. Women at the same time are told exactly the same thing. What you effectively get is a snake eating its own tail. People are being turned into femcels because places like Reddit are telling them that men are bad and should be avoided at all costs. People are being turned into incels because platforms like Reddit are telling them that men are bad and should be avoided at all costs.
I created you. You created me.
Both sides end up becoming more divided.
Why do women only like jerks who treat them like shit? Why do guys only want bitchy bimbos who walk all over them?
Hate each other on the internet. And although men and women are different, that doesn't mean they can't come to an understanding. That doesn't mean that you can't find love. I think the most important thing we can remember is the internet is not real life. And if you find yourself chronically online, the best thing you can do is to log off.
Yeah, touch some grass, guys.
Unfortunately, this is where my road ends. The femcels are closing in. I hope this message reaches you.
And shout out to you, man. You did a great video.
This may be my final broadcast.
Shout outs to Mr. Obvious. He's definitely not a red pillar or manosphere type man for sure, but he definitely can objectively see what's going on. This is what it's enjoyable about the internet to me. I'm sure me and him don't have exactly the same views nor agree with everything the same way, but with this particular topic, we can obviously kind of objectively see what's going on. At least us men are seeing this and just like, oh, okay, we got it. You don't like us. Please like, comment, subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. I'll catch you guys next time. Sure.